You guys ready? Test. Okay, good morning. But we have a quorum, 3 members here. Can I get a motion to accept staff report?
I'll make a motion to accept the staff report.
I second that motion.
Can I have the ayes? Can I have a vote on that? It's been a while. It's been a while since I.
Any
did this.
discussion?
Any discussion on the staff report? No discussion. Can I'd like to take a vote? Can I have an aye?
Aye.
All in
All those in
favor?
favor, yeah.
Aye.
Aye.
We have. Okay, can I get my thing, the minutes. Has everybody had a chance to review the minutes? Any changes or anything on them? Can I have a motion to approve the minutes for last meeting?
I make a motion that we approve the minutes from last meeting.
Any,
I'll second that.
any discussion? Have a vote? Take a vote?
Aye.
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 Okay, the hard part's over. Communications with Eric. Oh, yeah, for today, Mr. Eric.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the review of applications at the August 16th Board of County Commissioner meeting for LNR Communication Tower was approved for the conditional use permit, and then also Brenda Baker, the conditional use permit for a pet boarding and grooming facility. It was also approved. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Eric. Okay, it looks like we have 2 hearings today. Our first hearing is, if I say this wrong, Sicecom Wyoming LLC, Tyler Schultz.
So
Uh,
it's Turkish and it's Shishi Jam. So Shishi Jam, nice
Shishi
try.
Jam.
Shishi Jam Wyoming LLC, they're requesting a zone map amendment. Let me just show you the location. Give that a second to come up. Oh, you're probably. Okay, so this is the location. It's in township. Let's go back here. So it's going to be township 20 north, range 109 west, section 32, east half, northeast quarter, the east half section of the southeast quarter. So this is out there by Highway 372. And you can see the location that's highlighted. And then we're going from an agricultural to include an MD2 overlay. So we don't change the agricultural zoning, but what we do is add an MD2 overlay to allow for underground mining for obviously Trona. Okay, so as far as current zoning, it's ag, and then infrastructure would be Green River would be fire response, and then a Old Stauffer Road, and then the Rocky Mountain Power area. There's no minimum district size for MD2. So it meets those requirements, obviously. So as far, one thing I want to point out, Wyoming Statute 18.5.201, in the bottom of that statute A, it reads, no zoning resolution or plan shall prevent any use or occupancy reasonable necessary to the extraction or production of the mineral resources in or under any land subject thereto. So in short, we cannot prevent the extraction of minerals in Wyoming. That's in the entire state of Wyoming. So here's a posting of the location. And then when we do zone map amendments, we do review to see if it's consistent and compatible with the current resolution. and the comprehensive plan. One of the objectives of the comprehensive plan is to identify and promote areas that are appropriately zoned and adequately served for industrial uses. This zone map amendment has been located in the area known as the known sodium leasing area. So this amendment will be located in an area identified for mining of trona. Is its existing topography and creates buildable lots. Obviously, this is an MD2 overlay, so it's underground mining. So that would be an NA there. As far as is it compatible with existing allowable uses of adjacent properties and neighboring zoning districts, this area is located again in the known sodium overlay, so it will be consistent with what's going on out there, which is trona mining. There are adequate public facilities in the area, and it will not adversely affect adjacent property owners. As far as the nearest residence is over 10 miles, is the nearest residential subdivision as the crow flies. This does meet all of the district zoning sizing requirements. As far as public agency comments, Rock Springs Grazing Association was the only one that submitted a comment, and they did not have any objections to the request. So staff recommends approval of the request. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Pretty straightforward.
Thank
The
you.
applicant is here.
Thank you, Eric. Do we have the applicant here today? Would the applicant like to come up and state their case?
I just wanted to say that we appreciate you guys looking at it. Thank you for the correction on the name. Yes, it is Shishijim, formerly Jenner, Wyoming, also hard to pronounce, but I appreciate the approval being set forth before you to expand our mining. If you have any questions, just let me know. Brought Christina Barden, our specialist, environmental specialist, here with me to answer any, if you have any.
Thank you. If you have any questions? Well, thank you for coming, and we'll get through to this.
Thank you.
You guys have any questions about what's going on or no? Can we open the meeting for public comment? Anybody for this zoning map amendment? Anybody like to speak against this zoning map amendment? Anybody in general like to speak? Okay, we are closed for public comments. Yeah, can I get a motion on this zoning map amendment?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we approve the zoning map amendment, agriculture to include the mineral development overlay.
I'll second that.
Can I get a vote? Can I get ayes? Aye. Zoning map amendment has it, the ayes. It passes. And we have a second hearing from Eric. This from land use language amendment.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you guys for coming. Appreciate it.
Congratulations.
We'll see you on Tuesday. So the next one is a language amendment. And so this is to sections 4B, 5G, 5F, and 10. And the land use department is the applicant. So what you'll see in red is being striked out, and then what's in blue is being proposed to the zoning resolution. So the purpose of these language amendments is we're going to clarify what multiple uses are allowed on a parcel or lot, provide for additional uses in the district use chart, adjust some setback requirements in the commercial zone district, and amend the agricultural density requirements, and amend the major site plan requirements to base the requirements on scale of use. And then staff does not anticipate these amendments adversely affecting adjacent property owners. Okay, so when you go to section 4, it sounds like a lot, but actually it's really not once we start going through this. So the first section here is in 4. This is where administration enforcement section is. What the reason purpose for this first one is kind of some more clarification language in there, because it what it stated was only one permitted use shall be allowed per lot or parcel unless multiple uses are permitted through and then it just said major site plan requirements. The problem is we do allow other type of permitted uses on the property through conditional use and temporary use. So we're adding that in there to clarify. So it's not changing anything. It's just that it needed to, amend to what we were actually.
Making it more simple.
Exactly. Okay. And then we go to, now let me go back to, oops. There we go. Okay, nothing on that page. So that's really it for section 4. Like I said, it was
Only
as scary
change
as
I
I thought.
saw.
Yeah, so, okay, so in the district use chart, we made some little bit of changes in there. The first one is under greenhouse commercial, and you'll see we're adding conditional to the rural residential zone district and then also allowing in the B zone district. So the purpose of this is to allow some options, like north of Rock Springs, we had a situation where someone was wanting to run a commercial greenhouse and we had to go to a different heavier zone district. This would allow it to go in a B. So if you wanted to, on your 1 acre parcel north of town, establish a greenhouse, you could actually do a zone district change to B and then have it on the parcel. And then the other thing is in rural residential, because we do allow for farming under 10 acres, we thought give them an option of proposing a commercial type greenhouse. Rural residential tends to be larger parcels to accommodate for parking. So if that was an issue, again, they still would have to come through the Planning and Zoning Commission to apply for that, but this would give an option to the rural residential zone district. Any questions on that one?
No, I think. Anybody else have any questions?
Just
No.
providing more options out there. Okay. Then the other one, if you go into the couple of categories down from there, which is under animals, household, and livestock. So we had animal shelter as a conditional, when we still do, have animal shelter as a conditional use permit in rural residential. Let's see, R3 and R2SF, but then we didn't allow for animal grooming, which is a less intensive use. So we thought sometimes those are tied together, as we saw in a recent permit. So we thought, let's add that to match what animal shelter is under, so that that option was available. So we're basically matching that. And then under commercial corrals, we're adding under rural residential, commercial corrals as a conditional use permit. Again, for the stated reasons above that we're allowing a commercial greenhouse, is that rural residential is kind of that step below agriculture where you still have some ag type uses on there. It's not its principal use, but they're larger parcels, larger accessory structures and such. We thought, give that option. We've had some requests in the past. So I'm kind of following up from some of the requests I've had into the office in the past, and they haven't pursued it because it was not a use that was allowed in this chart. So we're allowing it as a conditional use.
Would that include like borders for horse corral boarding?
Yes.
And okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so we go to the next page. I don't believe there's anything there. And then I do see, let's see here. Oh, yeah, so we added miniature golf course into the B district. Didn't see any reason why you couldn't have that in a business district when you've got some that are even downtown Rock Springs, so didn't make much sense that it wasn't in there. Any questions on that, Mr. Chairman?
No, I got that one.
Okay. All right. Okay, and then just make sure I didn't skip anything here. And then on the next page, I'm not seeing any changes proposed there. And then on the final page, on page 10 there, well, of the zoning district chart there, you'll see in communication booster, repeater, tower, facility. So we added conditional use across the board. The reason for that is so if you're right now, the way the chart sits, you could not have any small antenna or anything like that for cell towers, repeaters, or anything in any of those zone districts. So to comply with the Telecommunication Act, we have allowed those. There's still conditional use permits. And then the same thing when you get into I-1 and I-2 to match the GMA requirements and then also allow them as permitted uses. I'll be honest, I couldn't believe that they were actually not allowed in there. So that was really confusing. So we did match that to the GMA requirements for under I-1 and I-2 and then allow it in MD1 as a permitted use. The reason why it's not an MD2 is underground mining. So no point in having it there, right? So, and it's an overlay. So that's the purpose of that one. That was actually brought up by staff when we've had some of the wireless carriers coming in. They're stating that you do realize that you're not allowing commuter booster, repeater, and tower facilities in those zone districts, which didn't make any sense. So that's the reason for that.
Especially with the new technologies coming where.
Yeah, exactly. Because you could have, even on a power pole, you could
Mhm.
have a small antenna on there. And with those restrictions on there, if somebody came in an R1 or a MH, which is Clearview Acres,
Mhm.
R1, which got a few subdivisions out there, you couldn't allow them. So that was an issue. So. And then nothing else in the district use charts on the next page. Okay, so let's go to the setback requirements. And this is to follow up from a variance hearing that we had recently. So under the commercial zone district, these are the setback requirements. And just so you know, there's probably some more work to be done here, especially when we get into lot to depth to width ratio. When we get into our subdivision regulations, we're going to have to look at these because it just seems like we're always having to do a variance on a lot within a subdivision. So we're going to have to look at this 1 to 2.5 to 1 ratio. But for at this time right now, we'll just leave that alone. But we did reduce the setback requirement for commercial from 20 feet in the rear to 10. We just felt that was too excessive. I do understand it when you get into other zone districts, but that one did not make a lot of sense as to why they were so high. In the I-1 and the I-2, you got heavier uses. That would be a reason to maybe have bigger setback requirements because of noise and such. But in the commercial, it didn't make much sense. The other thing that on the footnotes, and this is an important one, this is cleanup language under footnote 4. So this is related to the agricultural zone district. What it did used to say was 35-acre minimum permitted use other than residence. Well, that's a problem because cell towers don't need to be on 35-acre minimums. Because usually they'll just go on a small leased site
Mhm.
or they'll purchase a small area and they're exempt from subdivision requirements. So the purpose of the 35-acre minimum was for agricultural type uses. So that's why we now included language so that it makes more sense. The 35-acre minimum for the permitted uses in the district use chart, they're listed under the categories of agricultural and animals, because that's what the intent was agricultural type uses with like feedlots, grain elevators, things like that, which they require a lot of space. Not for something like a cell tower as an example. So that's why it was actually more restrictive under the current language. So we've actually opened that up. The other thing is in the agricultural, this is more clarifying language. In the agricultural district, the minimum density allowed for each residence requires a minimum of 10 net acres. So For example, a 40-acre parcel may have a maximum of 4 residences. So we're not changing the regulation, but we're clarifying it. I had some staff members that were a little bit confused with the existing language. So that's why we included some more clarifying language in there. And then because the legislature did change the regulation for that we can no longer regulate minimum district size on family exemptions, we had to strike out parcels utilizing the family exemption require a minimum of, I believe it says 5 acres for each residence. We can no longer regulate that, so that it has to go. So if somebody's doing a family exemption on a ranch, they are not held to any minimum district. So this is to come into compliance with the statutes. Any questions, Mr. Chairman, on these requirements?
Anybody else have any questions? No, I actually think it's looking a little better.
Okay. Okay, and then let's go to this is another good thing. Okay, so under the major site plan requirements, so my major site plan shall be submitted and reviewed in accordance with the requirements of this section. So a major site plan involves one or the more of the following: multiple family structures, structures with 20,000 or more square feet, 50,000 or more square feet of exterior storage of material or goods, and parking for 150 vehicles or more, for 150 or more vehicles. What we're getting rid of is where it says, or 2 or more structures containing permitted uses on the entire lot or parcel. So let me explain that. Really what a major site plan is intended for is the scale of use, right? So if you're going to have a lot of traffic because of the use, things like that, where you're going to need traffic circulation plans, grading and drainage to a high scale, things like that. That is what the major site plan. And if you're wondering where where these requirements come from, they come from the city of Rock Springs. But what we had on there, which made it even more restrictive, was the 2 or more structures containing permitted uses. So let me use an example. So we had someone that came in, and so they had a shop on the property. So let's say a diesel mechanic building where they were doing maintenance. Well, they wanted to bring on a trailer, like one of those construction trailers, those small ones. Well, that now is 2 structures containing a permitted use. So instead of where you were dealing with it to scale, now you're taking it and you're making them go through a major site plan for pulling on a construction trailer. So it didn't make any sense. And so what this does is it puts it in line with the regulations being to scale. You're building a large project rather than just having 2 permitted uses on the property. So that's the purpose of that. That creates a lot of less paperwork and headache for the applicant coming in, and when all they're wanting to do is add on something small. That makes sense. So now it actually matches identical to the city of Rock Springs, instead of us being more restrictive in that area. Any questions on that, Mr. Chairman?
Anybody else have any questions? No, sounds good, Eric.
That's it, Mr. Chairman. And so
I guess we'll open it up for public comment. Did anybody here wish to comment for or against our language amendment? No comments, so any discussion amongst board members? Any there, so can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve public hearing number 2, Land Use Department Language Amendment Zoning Resolution Sections 4B, 5G, 5F, and 10.
I second that motion.
You get a vote? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Anything else, Eric?
No, not at this time. Just the Pacific Atlanta Trona is still moving forward with their permitting and such. It's pre-decisional. I do believe Mary, Commissioner Toman, you have something you want to share. So I'll let Commissioner Toman take it away. If there's anything she wants to share.
For your minutes, we are formally presenting the federal land and resource plan that you helped develop in workshops. So I want to thank you again. Thank Eric and Aaron Wyatt purchasing and the staff for helping us get this off the ground in rapid order. And it has now been sent to all the federal agencies. I think to cover this.
It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
I enjoyed
it.
working with you. It was great to have the interaction and to have you involved in every aspect of it. So thank you, all of you.
And we thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
You put a lot of work into it.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Now we have, well, with that, I think we're done. And
Motion to
I
adjourn.
get motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Hey, it's been a long time since I've done this. I'm out of practice.
So moved.
Second that motion.
Second, all right.
Aye.
Thank you.